Welcome to the Firefly Tutors TV podcast, where real teachers from all over the country discuss real solutions for parents and educators alike. Here's your host, Marissa Johnston.
Hello and welcome to The Buzz, brought to you by Firefly Tutors TV, where we talk to educators and parents all across the country on current topics affecting school children today. Welcome to the podcast, Kristyn Strauss of Bellevue, Washington, and Star Galmore of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I am your host, Marissa Johnston of Phoenix, Arizona. Star Galmore is a certified educator and therapist, a recent School Teacher of the Year award winner in the state of Florida. She strives to help others reach self-mastery and takes pride in maintaining a high level of professionalism. Star currently resides in Raleigh, North Carolina, and enjoys spending time with her family and fur baby chihuahua. Kristyn Strauss brings a wealth of teaching and leadership experience. During her previous years teaching at the elementary level, Kristyn was recognized as Teacher of the Year in the state of Washington. She is dedicated to helping families and teachers create learning environments where all students succeed and discover their true potential. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
In your experience, how are educators helping develop interpersonal skills in students?
Yes, so in my experience, effective educators, they've always helped develop interpersonal skills in their students very first, by setting the tone and creating a welcoming, positive, purposeful, and a safe environment where students can thrive and flourish while also interacting with one another. Also, by building a classroom culture that exudes fearlessness, excellence, and where there is a clear system for communicating and managing conflicts in a healthy way. This is a great start to developing those interpersonal skills in your students.
Star, I love that you bring up classroom community and culture. I also believe this is the starting point for the majority of educators when they welcome a new class and as they begin to create the foundation of building interpersonal skills. So in my experience, or in my previous classroom, I felt like I was always thinking of ways my students would feel connected to their school, to their classroom, their teacher, their peers, really any staff member. So this can easily be overlooked as something that we think comes naturally for students, but the reality is, especially in kindergarten, which is my previous experience as an educator, not every student has been exposed to healthy ways of handling conflict or healthy ways of strategies and working together to problem solve, let alone greeting one another. So focusing on social emotional skills will develop strong interpersonal skills, and this is the foundation to learning. I firmly believe this. Students want to feel connected to their school, their teacher, and their classmates. So this is what fosters a greater sense of emotional well-being and a readiness to learn.
Thank you, ladies. It sounds like from what both of you are describing, this is something that teachers have had to deliberately teach within their classroom. It's not just, it doesn't always come naturally. Mm-hmm. So in this case, especially where adults, sometimes we forget that these are things that have to be learned. They don't come naturally. They don't come with just, going through life the way that we do. We have to learn them from somewhere. What can parents do to develop their child's interpersonal skills?
Well, I do want to touch on what you said as well with, relating to it comes naturally to students or it doesn't come naturally to students necessarily. It's something that we're learning, but I even also agree as adults, we are still learning a lot of these interpersonal skills. We just have more access to different tools. Maybe we can read more advanced books where we're trying to sharpen our interpersonal skills. So simply put, I think being intentional with your time together, your time with your child or with your students. So actively listening and prompting open-ended questions, not just the quick, how was your day at school? Really digging a little bit deeper and being intentional with those questions when your student or child is home, and allowing students space to voice their opinions or their concerns. I also think it would be fun to choose a passion project with your child each month. And I know this might sound like more of a complicated task, but I think it can easily be simplified because children are naturally curious and they're very creative, especially early on. So if you intentionally set aside maybe 30 minutes of uninterrupted time together each day where you are 110% all in. So no technology, no multitasking, just being fully present and actively listening to their ideas while prompting those meaningful questions. So through this activity, there will be natural teachable moments where you might find yourself asking, what do we do when there's a problem? Do we give up or do we persist? What if we want to, I'm just imagining if you're working on a passion project and maybe you're building a castle together. What if I want to paint the castle blue and you want to paint the castle pink? How can we solve this problem? So you can develop interpersonal skills, I think, naturally and quickly with just being intentional with your time together. And in this activity specifically, I know there's a little more planning behind it, but you could even develop little speech bubble prompts to support your child in teamwork, conversation, communication, and reasoning.
No, all of that was great, Kristyn. I love the passion project idea, actually. What a great way to not only highlight, your students' interests, but just a way to bond and really interact with your students. So I love that idea. I also love how you mentioned the intentionality behind setting aside time throughout the day. And again, I know that it may sound, like a task, but definitely making that a priority is a huge step in developing these interpersonal skills. So I love that. And I also love the question you presented. This really allows for students to self-reflect, which is a big skill that they'll need, throughout their life, right? You also want to support them at difficult moments. So those times when they are frustrated and they do want to give up, as well as instilling empathy in them so that they can be that support that others need when that time comes. Modeling, teaching, and encouraging effective communication. We can all use a little bit of that, right? So that is another big way to help develop these interpersonal skills at a young age. And this will help when they are upset and when they're frustrated and when they need those coping skills to help them to process those moments, and not only process moments of difficulty, but moments of high excitement. These are emotions that can get overwhelming as well. Another big one is conflict resolution. So, and Kristyn, I'm sure you understand as a former kindergarten teacher, how many times have you had to intervene in a disagreement or a conflict with the little ones, or parents with their siblings. So teaching them now how to resolve conflicts and solve problems, that's super important. And teaching them how to have crucial conversations with their peers now at an early age. This will help to foster those more positive relationships. Another big one, which is probably the most important to me, in my opinion, is mindfulness. So creating a time and space for consistent mindfulness is really, really big. When I was in the classroom, mindfulness was something that we practiced daily, sometimes every block, whether we were getting up and staying active, or, moving our body, getting the wiggles out, finding ways to manage stress. We did daily mental health check-ins. Sometimes, again, every 30 minutes when there were those wacky days where we needed to just breathe and check in with each other. And this played a huge role in my students' success. And it also just helped me to center my students and keep them focused, and to help them be intentional about their day moving forward.
Excellent points, ladies. My biggest takeaway from what you have both said is to not only be a great model of these interpersonal skills, but also create and have those open discussions. Give the child an opportunity to ask questions in a safe space and ask freely, ask away, and just talk it out with them because they're learning. I think, when you brought up that in Kristyn's kindergarten class, there were likely some need for conflict resolution moments. My initial thought was, oh goodness, what are 5-year-olds arguing about? And I think as adults, we do tend to kind of think that way about little people's problems. The young kids in our lives that we've worked with or, that parents are raising, they think this is such a silly problem. Why are you making a big deal about it? But to the child at that moment, that's all they know. It's not a silly problem. It's an actual problem in their life. And they just need to know how to cope and how to get through it and how to develop those skills to be able to talk through their emotions, how they're feeling, and to overcome and move on with hopefully a resolution to the overall issue. This is The Buzz, brought to you by Firefly Tutors TV. This has been part 1 of our discussion with Kristyn and Star about interpersonal skills in students. If you enjoyed our discussion today, please like Firefly Tutors on all your social media hubs like Facebook and Instagram. Find us on Pinterest, where we pin all of our favorite resources for parents and tutors. At Firefly Tutors, we believe every student deserves the opportunity to develop to their highest potential. See you next time.